Yeah, welcome back for round three, the finals here in Dominaria United League in our top eight draft. Uh, we are deciding the winner of the league here between Ragu, who we saw his Rakdos deck in round one against David, facing off against Dan A, whose Naya deck we saw with a small little tinge of black, one black card, who we saw in round two against Justin. So,
Yeah.
what's Dan's hand look
Another
like?
mega draft, another first time winner about to be crowned. It happens a lot. It's hard to get that second win.
Sometimes it's hard to get that the next top eight even.
Oh, yeah. You don't have to tell me.
So what's going on in Dan's hand over there?
So we have Duel for Dominance as interaction, also Fade to Antiquity. So Duel for Dominance is a fight, a Fade to Antiquity. Just gets rid of an artifact or an enchantment, exile for 3 mana. And a Flourishing Hunter with 2 lands.
Okay, so I believe if Ragu wins, he'll be our first winner from the UK, I believe. So
Outside of North America, even. Oh, no, that's
well, no,
not true.
we've had Finnish
Yeah.
Finnish players
Yeah. Yeah.
early in our league days, but just a little bit about the players. Ragu, he's not been with us too long in the league. He's been with us for a couple leagues now. This is his first top eight. He absolutely dominated the first half of our league. He was up in the top three for I think since week one or two. Absolutely dominated. Had a very good record. I think the last couple of weeks he took a few losses when everybody caught up to him, but he was on top of it from the start. Wire to wire, he was up there. Dan got in on the absolute last match of the league into the top eight. It was between him and Emmett, winner take all to get into the top eight. It was the last match of the league. So he got in on the very last day. He was in contention the whole time, but it only was made official at the
And I believe
very
Dan
last
was
minute.
our only money winner for the latest Arena Open,
Yeah,
right?
so Dan, who's in his first league, is not a newcomer to the game. In fact, two of our longtime league players now, Emmett and Miranda, they actually know him from their game store down in the States. They told him about league. He said, "That sounds great. Let me sign up." And here he is making top eight. Here he is winning $1,000 in the Arena Open. Uh, and here he is about to possibly take down his first league. But while we were talking about that, Ragu has got the drop on him here with these two 4/4s. So he's going to be fighting from behind here to take this game.
Is there instant removal in Ragu's hand right now?
No, he has a creature and he has a act of treason
Okay.
effect, Pax Betrayal, foul play, and a land. So
Okay, so the plan seems to be Witch's Webbing to it gives reach, right?
yeah.
Witch's Web. So that seems to be the plan to block the Hellkite here.
However, this Pax Betrayal could take him out of the game. But the thing is that Ragu doesn't need to use the Pax Betrayal, but he could just use if he uses foul play. He's going to start with the foul play, and then the game's going to end very shortly after.
Doesn't foul play get countered by Witch's Web? Doesn't it say two or
Yes, but
how?
he can then just safely active treason it.
I see. That would be quite a thing to behold.
So it's
But
gonna
then
so
you
it's gonna fizzle the foul
do.
play, but yeah. So now
But there's
now
still
now Ragu's safe to
there's
just
still
yeah. There you go.
sorry, there's still for dominance in hand right now, so it's gonna be
Okay.
it's not the prettiest play, but that's pretty funny.
He's gonna survive at one here, actually. So does he have?
Flourishing Hunter in hand.
Yeah, which actually doesn't gain life if you have other creatures, and there's still a menace creature here, even though it is gonna
It
flip
does
back.
not.
It is gonna flip back
You're
to
right.
day here.
I was thinking it does gain life, but it
Nope.
doesn't.
You require another creature, so it's not like the Lindworm or Honey Mammoth that we've seen that just gains four. This one actually requires a board. So this 2/3 menace is actually going to do it. Yeah. So we were
A
talking
pretty
about the
quick
players a
strange
bit,
game.
which is warranted in the finals, but we weren't discussing how Ragu got off to such an advantage there in the early turns. But
Pretty very quick, but very strange game that just happened.
well,
But
that was a
ending
fun, that
ending.
was a fun turn there where Dan escaped with one life left with the Witch's Web followed by a duel for dominance. That was an unexpected turn of events, but he did not have anything to stop that little 2-3 menace, which was the last man standing there after that big turn.
That's where you need a honey mammoth and not a flourishing hunter, or even a turn timber ascetic.
Turn timber ascetic. Oh yes.
Although he would have died, right? Format.
How
Did
many
it
of
shrink?
those? How many of those are in your pool for our upcoming team league?
One.
There you go.
Which we're not going to be casting the next Mega Draft, right? Because our team's going to be in the Set Wars finals.
Well, yeah, this came up in our in some of the chats that um, it would be awkward to do any broadcasting for these events because it requires many players to be in voice chat with each other at the same time
True.
when you're consulting with your team. So probably just stick to the main leagues for our feature matches.
Yeah, and
So
let's, I guess, focus on this match, which is probably why we're here.
yeah, absolutely. So didn't look like Ragu did too much sideboarding. He's mulliganing a one lander here, and he's gonna keep his 4 lands with an experimental synthesizer and a long reach
Yeah.
of night. So a
Okay.
little slow off the bat here. What's Dan looking at?
Well, there was no turn 2 until Sprouting Goblin was just played, and now you have the decision. Do you play Sprouting Goblin as a 2 or a 3? There is a Dawn Heart Mentor and a Grafted Growth for next turn. If he does not wait and play the Goblin next turn,
Yeah,
it's a decision.
I think once your opponent mulligans and you have stuff to do, you just play out the goblin. I would think.
I think I'd do that.
If you have any other 2-drop, you play that first. But if it's your only 2-drop, seems correct to play the goblin here, just to get on board your
You can
opponent
Grafted
mulligans.
Growth to grow it as your turn next turn as well. So
Yeah, absolutely.
the other 2 cards in hand are Kami of Industry and Molten Monstrosity. So Kami of Industry is no target in the graveyard, of course, but Monstrosity can be a cheap monster.
I wonder how many targets he has for that Cameo of Industry. That's a card that didn't see much play in Neon Dynasty. I believe it reanimates an artifact of 3 mana or less with haste, and then it goes away.
For 1 turn, yeah.
Yeah, it goes away. Yeah.
There are some
Yeah.
nice synergies, but it's mostly a joke meme.
So Ragu's drawn a Dawn Daybreak Combatants, which is that 2/2 haste that is I believe it gives any creature +2/+1 when it comes in, often itself.
Oh yeah, that card.
Yeah, so very aggressive card. His uh, I guess with the active treason sort of strategy, you just want haste, you want surprise damage, so not a bad include, but doesn't look like it's going to be a big contributor to this game.
Grafted Growth looking like it's going to get played. The only consideration is there instant speed from my opponent's hand, which would probably be a real disaster on this turn.
Well, I think grafted growth still gives you, it still fixes you. Like, the counter is
Yeah, I mean,
usually the +1 counter is usually the secondary part of that card. It's usually you want it because it fixes and ramps.
well, he
So
wanted to develop the board, if not do that this turn.
yeah, so now this
Because
Daybreak
he has,
Combatants does not block the Sprouting Goblin, so I imagine he's just gonna deal 4 damage here, and then we'll see what's in store for this Daybreak Combatants in future turns. But we know what it's doing this turn at least.
I only wished it was a 4/2. So next turn, if a land is drawn, Molten Monstrosity can come out.
Oh right,
No, it's up.
yeah, it'll cost 5 for a 5/5 trample. Pretty good.
Yeah. Instead, we have a Magician Exhibition or Dawnheart. With there, I don't know if Plummet's gonna get much value. Would Plummet, because there's a Plummet drawn.
Oh, did he see flying? He saw that dragon. He might have limited answers to the dragon and just say I'm gonna hold it. Right.
That is true. That is
Like
true. It might have been
sometimes.
sideboard.
Yeah, the one thing I did note about Dan's deck or his pool when we went over it was I really liked the pool, but I did say light on removal. So sometimes you see a dragon, and even if it's the only flyer you'll come across, you bring in your plummet and you hold it in your hand, and you say, I'm not going to lose to that card uh, because he's a little light on other types of removal. He has a few
Deciding
things,
whether
but
just
clearly he felt he needed a bit more because that dragon is deals so much damage.
So Plummet's gone away. Kami of Industry is in the hands still. He decides to keep that one around.
Yeah, I didn't see too many. I didn't note too many artifacts on his side. Uh, but we'll see. Maybe it'll do something we are not expecting. So yeah, it discards the plummet here. So I wonder if Ragu's reading anything into the plummet now that he sees. Is he able to clock that? Maybe Dan is very very light on removal and brought that in because red black is not a traditional flying deck. Like you're not going to face too many
Nope.
flyers outside of rares. So maybe he's coming to the conclusion that maybe he doesn't have a lot of removal, which he can use to his advantage.
This is actually quite a good play because you can sack a creature instead of playing your Molten. You have a nice sacrificable creature.
Yeah, it's good. There goes the 1/1. No, instantly, no thought about it at all. Yeah, so his coven is on now, but he's still off of. He's 2 lands away from getting the activation, but he has what he needs on board, and Ragu's not going to be affecting the board in an amazing way this turn. Uh,
These
so
two green creatures are the threat of activations
yeah,
uh, of their sets.
yeah. So he has a custodian. He's going to throw out here. That got exiled, and then he has an Okiba Reckoner, but that doesn't affect the board. So bit of a rough turn there. He might have been better off just casting the Chainflail Centipede and letting the custodian stay in exile just as a 2/2 that can block. Uh, that might have been the play. I mean, when you use your synthesizer, you wanna play the exile card because it's going away. But in this case, it's a tapped creature, and he's at 10, facing down 4 creatures. Might have wanted a Chainflail Centipede, even though it's just a lowly 2/2. Yep. So he's gonna attack all.
Beatdowns happening.
So
So
I believe his domain count is 3 if that comes up.
yeah, I was wondering if he pays 4 to grow that by 3, it would make Molten cost few, but not few enough. So he's just gonna hard cast Molten for 5 at this
Yeah,
point.
that makes sense. So Ragu needs something very very powerful off the top of his deck, and Swamp is not it. So looks like, barring something really really impactful getting exiled by this synthesizer, looks like we will have a game 3 to decide the league. Yeah. So nothing there. So off we go to the
The only
last game.
way is a game 3. Let's hope it to be an actual game.
Well, we always hope for actual games.
Oh no, I'm not complaining about that, but I don't want to see any, land screw, mana screw.
Yeah. So one thing I will note about Ragu's deck is he is playing the One Cult Anvil, and he barely has any artifacts. So bit of a strange one, but yeah, maybe he has things that make treasures and things that I didn't clock. But yeah, we are having our deciding game here once again. Both players are in their first top 8. Both players relatively new to our server. Dan, in fact, in his first league, and Ragu recently joined earlier this year. So there's
I
it's
didn't see any sideboards there.
and before we know who wins, but it's early congratulations to both of them for having an
Yep.
extremely good showing here in their first top 8. We have a few people still chasing their first one after many many top 8s, but that's why we keep playing. Always chasing the glory, and one of these players is going to have it today.
Let's see if Grill gets another victory.
Yeah. Uh, so Ragu's kept a very functional hand here. He has a 3-drop Shady Traveler. He has a 5-drop Rot Tide Gargantua, a Kami's Flare, and the Electric Revelation, the discard and draw spell from with flashback.
Looking at a very tough keep here. 3 green cards without a green source. I don't imagine he'll keep it. There's a Maestro's Theater and 2 mountains. Maestro's does not get green. Notably a morbid opportunist, though. Maestros can
Yeah, he kept
enable.
that hand earlier in the previous round with only white and red mana and no green, and it was a very long time until he got his green. But he actually did end up pulling out the win there. But Yeah.
Given a long think, it's
Yeah,
worth it.
so
This is a pretty
yeah,
important game.
he did keep a hand, but that was when he was already on a mulligan, so he had less options there. Looks like he's taking his
Notably
time,
that
but
plummet. Notably that plummets in hand.
yeah,
Well, it's
yeah.
not $1,000 game like he played. Oh, so it went away actually. So new hand here. It
Okay,
looks
that
like
makes
it's going to be a
sense.
keep.
Sounded pretty awful if it was all forest. If it was all green cards and no green lands. That it's hard to justify a keep there,
Deciding what
unless.
to put under. It's Ogre Head Helm, Tales of Master Shishiro, the Ajani,
Okay.
and 3 forests and a mountain.
Okay, so he's gonna have what to do here. Um,
Ogre Head's two drops. So
I mean, the Ajani is uncastable right now. I
yep,
know it's a planeswalker, and you don't like to put your planeswalker on the bottom of your deck and guarantee to never cast it. What did he ultimately
he bottomed the
decide?
bottom of the land, but he drew a land,
Okay,
so still 4 lands in it.
okay. So he put the land, hoping to draw another. Here's his helm, but it sounds like he's without stuff to do for the next couple turns. Is that it?
Yeah, that is true.
Okay.
Because Racer's Ring was the
Yeah.
next draw.
So Ragu had a nice, had a nice draw, getting a 2-drop, and now he has a 3-drop. We saw that card being the last man standing after a very convoluted combat step in game one, where there was many
Yes.
unexpected things cast on both sides.
This thing tends to do tons of damage if not dealt with or
Yeah,
blocked
we
early
had
on.
Ragu casting a foul play on a 2-power creature, only to have it be pumped to 5, only to have Ragu try and steal it with a Pax Betrayal, only to have Dan respond by fighting it off against the dragon. So it just both creatures ended up in the graveyard. So that
This
was
is
the
gonna
first
get rough
phase.
quick. Johnny's not a great blocker or anything. Maybe
Yeah,
some life gain if
A Johnny does not defend you basically at all. Uh, I mean,
it gives you 5 life.
if your
Maybe.
opponent attacks it, but a Johnny is not even one that really begs or requires to be attacked immediately. Right, so he's
So
attacking
that
here.
yeah.
His follow up looks to be he has a Ragged Recluse. He might just go for the Synthesizer to try and hit a land. He can still play the
Hmm.
Ragged Recluse, which is a 2-mana 2/1, and if you discarded a card, it'll flip into a 3/3.
So the thought is to play the experimental or not?
Yeah, well, I imagine you'd want to play that first, pretty much always. He actually, yeah, he's just gonna go for the Recluse. So next turn he could
Wow.
flip it. Next turn with the Electric Revelation if he chooses to. Surprised he didn't just go for the Synthesizer or maybe hit a land.
Not a bad draw in Broodweaver. It is 2 blockers.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, Menace doesn't care about
Yeah.
it.
Notably, he may have wanted to keep it Knight. That might be why he didn't do the Synthesizer because he wants the 4/4
I
here.
see. Yeah,
Yeah.
you're probably right about that.
Yeah, that could have been a thought.
And I
Um,
would have screwed up if it was me. See that?
Yeah, because he figures his opponent's not going to be playing 2 spells in a turn like that easily right now to flip it back. So this 4/4 menace, if he doesn't turn it tonight, his opponent, if he doesn't turn it back today, his opponent's unlikely to cast 2 spells. But it's all right. So he's mapping out
Well,
his turn here, whether or when he wants to play a synthesizer.
I could say that it does not look like it's going to be daytime after Dan's next turn, because with the Johnny and Tales of Master Sushiro,
Yeah.
2 lands, it's not looking likely.
Starts with synthesizer. Well, okay.
It,
Sometimes you just find
okay,
that and you get to deal a bunch of damage to your opponent.
it is
Uh,
daytime now.
So he does get to scry too because he has that werewolf in play. So very key here. Looks like he's going to keep enthrall to the pit on top and put a flowstone infusion on the bottom here. So nice little find here from the synthesizer. Sort of changed the texture of what the turn was going to be. Uh, you know, sometimes you
Oh,
just
that plummet keeps showing up.
yeah plummet. Like I said, I mean the one of the weaknesses of Dan's deck was being light to removal, and the plummet was in his mind a necessary evil. I suppose. I don't think he was happy about bringing it in, but when you don't have any other way to kill a dragon or very
So any
limited
creature
ways.
come in? Any creature likely to come down this turn?
Well, there's just enthralled to the pit. I think is just gonna put him on death's
Oh,
door here.
oh, that's right. You said that.
Yeah, so he's just gonna put him down to 2 here and make him have multiple answers.
Oh, it's so scary playing against threatened deck.
And so basically now Ragu has to kill the menace creature or play 2 blockers, and even then, Ragu has a Kami's
Oh,
Flare. So
Cabaretti's
Dan
charm makes 3 blockers.
Cabaretti Charm does it makes 2 citizens, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that is what he needs. He does need
That
to
was the top deck.
uh, yeah, he needs to remove the menace or make 2 additional blockers, and it looks like he will be able to. Uh,
Is it removed though? Cabaretti.
However, there's a Kami's Flare in hand, so
Oh, okay.
that's going to presumably wrap things up if that's the way it plays out. Right, so back to night once again. Is there any value of him playing the Cabaretti Charm on his turn just to prevent it from going to night? I guess at 2 life it doesn't matter. It's lethal either way.
Um, some value, whether it's the right player or not. Probably not.
Yeah, so Ragu's drawn a land, so he does have the potential of just playing Rot-Tide Gargantua as a 5 mana make you sack a creature, but the Broodweaver does replace itself if it dies. I mean, obviously it's a downgrade, the token, but let's see. Let's see what Ragu does. He could also just go to attacks because he has onboard lethal.
Yeah, you
If
have Kami's Flare, so
Yeah, looks like it's yeah. It's just the land gave him an extra option of casting Rot-Tide Gargantua as a 5 mana removal, but it doesn't actually make the blocks different. Yeah, so he's just gonna go ahead and enter
he's only
combat. Okay,
attacking with that.
he's just attacking with the menace here. He's respecting the possibility of removal. Um, you know, with only a Kami's Flare's instant speed interaction, if Dan removes the menace, he then just eats the 2/1, so it's real bad, right?
Yeah. In
So
this case, though,
he respected the potential of removal here. Just attack with the 4/4
you
because
don't play around instant summon 2 creatures more than instant removal. So
no, yeah. So don't think he's too happy about that. But he could finish off the Broodweaver with the Kami's Flare. But there's a 5/5 coming down next turn, so that is also problematic.
So if he attacked with the 2-1 as well, does he get a chance to respond Kami's flaring one of the 1/1s before blocks?
Yes, yeah.
So that would have been lethal. That would have been not have been. Yeah, he couldn't have blocked both.
Yeah,
It
but
would have been lethal.
the problem is that if Dan has removal, he loses both his creatures.
Yeah, yeah, that's a problem too.
So he's playing the
Yeah,
Electric
you don't.
Revelation here, and uh, he just has to survive. His Ragged Recluse will turn into something that does deal a
Yeah,
damage when it attacks, but it'll have to attack twice
that's
to win
not
the game on
nothing.
its own. So off goes this 1/1 here. That was a nice draw from the Revelation. This foul play.
Oh, that's a draw this time. It's Flourishing Hunter off the top.
Okay, so that's gonna gain him 6 life.
What a turn of events here.
Yeah, that Cabaretti charm. Yeah, so what Ragu did is he played around removal, but um, he couldn't have expected 2 instant speed blockers, which if he would have attacked with the 2/1, he would have been
Lethal.
he would have taken it down. But he respected removal because he didn't want to lose both his creatures because that would have been a
Yeah,
complete
not a
disaster.
misplay, but yeah, as I said, you don't play around instant summon 2.
No,
There's
no,
only a
no,
few cards that do that.
not a misplay at all. He just chose one route. He was expecting his opponent to have removal, which is what players are going to have most of the time in that spot to stay alive, right? Like instant speed 2/1/1s. Like that's
By
not
a
on your
wide
radar.
margin.
Removal is on your radar, and
By a wide margin, yeah.
removal he gets 2 for 1 because the 4/4 dies, and then the 4/6 blocks the 2/1, and he has 0 creatures. Um, It's just this flourishing hunter draw is turned the game around drastically.
Quadrupled the health, so it's not so bad.
Yeah, so it looks like Raku's gonna have a really hard time getting 8 damage in here with no attacks and mostly poor blocks.
So Ajani makes everything vigilance as attacking
Oh,
and vigilance,
right. He still has the Ajani from the beginning of the game. Oh, right. So it's gonna
and Witch's Web to back it up. Witch's Web for lethal, actually. So if anything goes through, it's lethal, and we have a new winner.
yeah. So all the creatures are lethal with a Witch's Web, and I can't imagine Ragu is gonna block them all. I imagine he's gonna. Well, he has to block 2 of them, but
I don't know. I don't even know if the life
he
gain
actually
matters.
can't even kill any of them because they're all too high toughness to kill. Because he can't even double block profitably. Yeah, this is
That
that
one turn was
that one turn
incredibly
that
important.
that Cabaret charm making 1/1s. Yeah, he Ragu's mousing over the Cabaret charm now in the graveyard, probably saying that was
I
what he
wasn't even sure of
had.
the rules about if you can respond. I was like, can you even
Oh, absolutely, he could
kill
have
him?
responded
Yeah,
with with that.
before going to blocks, before going to blockers. Yeah.
Yeah, but the thing is, he didn't. He only attacked with the 4/4. So
Oh,
yeah,
is he thinking?
so
Oh, they all have vigilance, but it would be hilarious if he top. Like if they didn't have vigilance or something, only
yeah.
one of them had vigilance.
I
He
mean,
could
we
threaten
know
for a one.
Ragu doesn't have a board wipe here, and yeah, even an active treason effect won't do it because
Yeah,
they all
that
have
must be the only
vigilance.
thing.
Yeah, so Johnny's like the nail, might be the nail in the coffin here. I mean, unless Ragu decides to chump block all 3, this game is going to be over.
He tapped his mana extra carefully, so that made he's. It kind of shows that it might be lethal. That's what he's thinking about. But
Yeah, it looks like he's going to block the way you would expect, and that is exactly 8 damage. So exciting turn of events there in game 3. Game 1 was also very exciting as well. So thank you to both players for a very, very entertaining final round. And once again, congratulations to Dan A. Beat down Bringa, first league win. So we'll see if you can keep it up in the future leagues. So big
GG's,
congratulations
Ragu.
to both players, and we'll see you for the next Mega Draft.